and gentlemen, for joining me once again on the Fast Lane Podcast for Success. I am your host, Derek Lane. As again, I say thank you. Took a little break, but back and doing kind of a midweek podcast, but something I really wanted to talk about, something that I don't know, I've had some people kind of ask me about some things, and I wanted to touch base with you on it. And basically, a short question: who am I? I think a lot of people wonder sometimes, who am I? What am I really about? What am I really supposed to be doing? What good am I to the world or to others? So those are a lot of deep and meaningful questions. So I think, you have to kind of dig in. You go, well, am I just a product of my DNA? My generational DNA. Doctors will tell you that's basically what you're made up of. But more than that, am I made up of my parents' influence, my peers' influence? Is my fate and who I am predetermined before I was even born? A lot of interesting questions. But I think sometimes we struggle with identity. We search for a deeper meaning of who we are, what we're good at, maybe what we're bad at. And we try to understand those things. And sometimes we try to correct those things or embellish those things, whatever the case may be. But there it is. It's a deeper understanding of who we are. And sometimes the more that we know, the less we understand. When we start to figure things out, it only raises more questions. But that's good, because that's expanding your horizons, your mental horizons. You're deepening your thinking level. And the deeper that you can think, the more accomplished you can become. Not just monetarily, but as a human being, as a spiritual human being. To be able to experience more freedom in your life. I think that is what we all kind of look to do. So who are you is not what you are. Who you are is the capacity of who you're capable of being. Some people look at you a certain way and they see certain elements of you, and maybe you accept that. But that's up to you. It's up to you to accept what people kind of think about you, or reject it, correct it, move on. I know people that have literally just kind of been fed up with who they are and what they've got going on in life, and they just pack up and leave, and they just go, and they just want to start over. Well, sometimes, running from something, I don't know, maybe it works. I'm not a big believer in it. I think that the more that you confront, your fears, and you overcome those fears, I think that, you're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to be happy in the skin that you're in. I don't think the great higher power put us on this earth to not be who we are, or at least experience the capability of who we can become. I think that once we understand that the ability to reshape, reset, the ability to make cognitive changes in our life, we can consider all possibilities. We can consider sometimes things that maybe we hadn't thought of. But again, the ability to think deeper, more spiritually, more within ourselves, and know thyself. That in some ways is a major breakthrough. And sometimes, again, when other people, suggest we're this way or that way, it's up to us. We can say, oh yeah, that's me. Or you can say, no, that's really not me, and here's why. Or maybe it is you and you don't like it, and you have the ability to change it. But who am I? Who am I? It's a question that gets asked every day, and sometimes it's a fragile one. Maybe we don't want to know. Maybe we really don't want to know who we are. Maybe we really, really do, and we don't know how. We don't know how to process that. Asking the question, who am I, is sometimes born out of a deeply entrenched habit or habits. We go through our life and we kind of put our lives in a lot of areas on autopilot, and we just kind of do it. That's what we did yesterday, and that's what we're going to do tomorrow and the day after, and we're just kind of doing it. not really thinking about the outcome, just killing time. And I would challenge you to get the most out of your life is not to look at your life as killing time, but to maximize every moment that you have. To take, even when you're driving in traffic and people are, driving crazy around you or whatever, understand who you are and accept that, I'm in this moment right now. But especially in those times when, maybe you're connecting with nature, you're enjoying the relationship of friends and family, and just understand that moment is now, and live it and love it. If you were uprooted from your normal life, would you feel different? Would you feel like a different person? I think all of us would. If suddenly some catastrophic event happened and we are forced to change who we are, how we live, and sometimes who we're around, you would really start to think, wow, what is going on? Who am I? Who is this person? But if you know yourself, if you understand yourself from the very beginning right now, that change wouldn't feel as drastic. You'd still know who you are as a person and understand that life events happen, and they happen to everyone, and we deal with them. And where does the fear come into play? I mean, because we fear change. It's natural to fear change. It's what they call the comfort zones. People get in their comfort zones. But if we accept that we can handle the things that we fear, then fear dissipates, and then there's no more fear. Sometimes when we have this thought of who are we in this self-discovery mode, it can be kind of frightening. But once you learn to live in the now and the know yourself now, it again is not nearly as scary. A lot of people feel like maybe they have what's known as imposter syndrome. They're going through their life and this is not really who I am, but I'm not going to tell anybody. I know I've accomplished a lot and I've achieved some things, and people look at me this way, but man, if they only knew my skeletons in the closet, they wouldn't think of me as being so great, or whatever the case may be. The imposter syndrome says that you psychologically downplay any achievements that occur in your life. I would strongly urge you to take a real good look at that strategy, and kind of keep away from that imposter syndrome. It's healthy sometimes to look outside of yourself, to look outside of the person that you are, and see the person that, again, you're capable of becoming, the person that you're capable of introducing to other people around you, and the influence, not just the influence, but the positive influence that you can have on other people in your life. Pythagoras said, "Man knows thyself, then shall know the universe and God." Now, this philosopher from around 500 BC, that's a pretty deep statement, but I thought it was very poignant to the discussion that we're having about knowing thyself. And of course, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom, by Socrates. It's been said that the universe flows, so understand who we are, and when it opens up wondrous opportunities. Life is not to be feared, but revered. Life is to be celebrated, enjoyed, even in the darkest times, even in the times that you feel that there's, just a bleak outcome, and you feel like the world's coming down on you, and, sometimes it's the mea culpa, but things ride in waves. They get really deep and they get really high. Your job is to make sure that you ride the high a lot longer than you stay in the deep, and to make sure that you understand. And that's why we're having this discussion once again, is to understand that we're just wanting to be a better person. And I think these are some of the things that we have to consider to be a better person. To be a better person to yourself. You have to love yourself. Not just like yourself. You have to love yourself, because you cannot love anybody else. any more than you love yourself. It's false and it's fake if you attempt to do so. And people that you love really appreciate when you love yourself, because it makes that relationship so much better. But you have to take life and just grab it and do the adventure and find yourself and find others and study and read and become the better person all the time, and be the person that just enjoys being around other people, and other people enjoy being around you. It's so important to have a happy life and to celebrate life. So anyway, I know I'm getting a little deep, a little bit, kind of a philosophy type of outlook on this podcast. Again, I just felt that it was something I wanted to touch base with, because I've had some people, kind of suggest that maybe there's something there, and some of the teachings of knowing thyself. So there we have it. I think we'll wrap it up. Not too much of a long one. We're going to do another one next week, and we're going to get back on track and get our podcast going. So I appreciate the listenership, and for all the folks that are tuning in to the Fast Lane Podcast for Success, once again, I'm your host, Derek Lane, and tell the folks that you recommend this to, that they can find Fast Lane on iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, the Apple, wherever. I mean, it's on all of them. It's on all of them. We're sending them out to all of the podcast venues. So enjoy and have a wonderful and blessed rest of your week, and we will talk next week. Thanks, guys, so much. We appreciate you.